Hi, I'm Leaf. I'm a doctoral student and a teaching assistant here at Arizona State University, and I'm here today on campus in the beautiful Rafael Mendez Library to talk to you about the 2026 Arizona All-State Etudes. Now, etudes aren't necessarily pieces that we would program on a concert or a recital. Rather, they're written to help us isolate, focus, and study, and then showcase one particular aspect of our playing. For example, we might be working on using different kinds of articulations, maybe moving lyrically, maybe tricky acrobatic rhythmic things, or perhaps we're balancing really large leaps with delicate entrances. And if those things sound familiar and you're looking at the music that we're going to be working on today, well, you're right. That's exactly what we're going to be talking about. My plan is to play each etude for you, and then we'll chat a little bit about how I went about preparing those etudes to play for you today. We'll end with some general advice and a few words of encouragement, and then send you on your way. So, thanks for listening, and let's start with Etude 1. Etude number 1 is really exciting, with some pretty interesting twists and turns along the way. Now, immediately, I see some different articulation markings and some pretty clear dynamics. So I want to make sure I'm exaggerating those to get across the intended effect. When I'm playing staccato notes, sometimes I hear myself clipping them very harshly, which sounds harsh and it doesn't feel great to play. So I try and think of these staccato notes as having a bit more life, right? Like still short, but moving, like skipping a stone across water. Also, 120 beats per minute is pretty fast. And whether you choose to single tongue or double tongue the 16th notes, they need to sound the same. So spend some time recording yourself, playing those opening few bars, and listening for which note might sound out of balance, or maybe isn't really sounding at all. Keep the recorder running while you run different experiments with maybe your air or different syllables to see what could be a good match for you. Finally, the A in measure 6 can be pretty sharp sometimes, especially when we run up and we have to leap to it pretty aggressively. So I would play around with using our first valve slide there to make sure it sits lower in the pitch, or use an alternate fingering. Every trumpet player is different. Every trumpet is built a little bit different. So experiment at home and figure out what works for you. Our second etude is an interesting one. It's quite slow, which presents an interesting opportunity to bring up the conversation of subdivision, which of course is playing eighth notes but thinking 16th notes. Now, this helps me kind of stay on track in time, not speeding up too much, not slowing down too much as the notes move, or maybe as I sit on a longer note and give it a bit of life. As I practiced this, I wanted to make sure that I was giving each 16th note subdivision a specific job. I think every beat should be going somewhere or coming from somewhere, ebbing or flowing, waxing or waning, energizing or relaxing, whatever analogy you want to, you get the point, right? So use your tone, use vibrato, use color, articulation dynamics to create that interest that keeps audiences on the edge of their seat. And I guarantee you, you'll find this etude pretty exciting. Now, etude number 3 is wild. It kind of feels like I'm running through an obstacle course, trying not to trip on the log, all the while someone's throwing pies at my face. It's kind of insane. It can be very scary at first, but have no fear, my friends. I have 2 ways to practice this, which might help make life a little bit easier. The first one is slow practice. So let's take the first 2 measures. And I'd like for you to turn the metronome down to 60 beats per minute. That's half the speed. And at this tempo, we can play those opening 2 measures pretty easily. And while I do that, I want to focus on impeccable time and rhythm. I want to use my tone to soar through all of those intervals and make sure I'm really accurately slamming down my fingers to build confidence in those notes. Now you can practice the next 2 measures in the same way, and the next 2 measures, and the next 2 measures, and so on and so on. The second one is small practice. Small practice is a little bit different, so I want to go back to the beginning, and instead of the first 2 measures, let's take the first 5 notes. Take your metronome and turn it all the way back up to 120. And in small practice, we're attempting to play the music in the flow of time. It's a small gesture. You can take as many times as you need. Stumble and fall, miss notes. It's so super fine. The goal is to make those mistakes in the flow. So, dee ba bum ba bee, bee ba bum ba bee, however many times it takes. I guarantee the number that you have in mind about how long that might take is not the number that it will. Now we can take the next little bit, so from the top G through the scale to the bottom G, and do the same thing. Make your mistakes and go through the line and get a feel for the flow of time. Next, we can put those 2 small gestures together in that fast tempo, and we make our mistakes, and we let our brains teach our body, and we let our body kind of inform the brain how the game works. As the saying goes, times are very urgent, my friends, so we must slow down. It can be very tempting, so super tempting, to play Etude number 4 with reckless abandon. Like, buckle up, lock in, hit the gas, let's go. But I implore you, it's okay, we can chill out. Fast doesn't have to mean chaotic. I like to bring out this lilty, skipping feeling of the opening triple into duple feeling. Dee, ba-dum, beep, bum, beep, ba-dum, beep, ba-dum, beep, ba-dum. To get that feeling, small practice can be our friend. Taking each of those lilting figures and repeating them in time until your brain kind of teaches your body, and your body kind of lets your brain know how the game works. Try those opening few bars in this way, and then do the same for the figures starting in measure 10. Watch out for the accidentals starting in measure 9, or measure 6 through 9. It's a mean trick to play on us, but that natural sign on the first line E does not apply to the top line E, to the octave above. Accidentals do indeed carry through the measure, but only for the indicated octave. Slow practice can help us here also. Move through these lines in large kind of airy gestures. I like to imagine my fingers are tiny hammers slamming down the valves as I go, help sending my air through the trumpet properly, and making sure my fingers know what to do as I maybe start turning up that tempo back to performance tempo. absolutely love our last etude, etude number 5. If adagio means slow, adagietto means a little slow. And I think this gives us a little bit of elbow room to move around inside the measure. Go with our instincts a little bit, not too crazy, but it does give us a little bit of freedom. Now, to play these large leaps, I want to do most of the work with my ear. So as I was preparing these, I spent a lot of time singing these intervals of a seventh, the octave, and the ninth, maybe playing them on my mouthpiece just to make sure I had the right address before I sent the air, right? Once again, working in slower tempos is an excellent opportunity to practice our subdivision. I think the 16th note subdivision works really, really wonderfully here, and maybe as an exercise, try singing or even playing this etude all 16th notes, as if it were written that way. So it might sound like da da dee 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 da da dee 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 dee. Now that funny looking marking in measure 12 is called a portato, not a potato, portato. And all that means is it needs a little bit of breathing room before and after the note. So that's what that means. And lastly, of course, practice counting really carefully through the rests towards the end of this piece. Breathe in time and make sure each note starts precisely when you intend it to, not before, not after. These will help you sing through this piece and give it the beauty that it needs. Well, friends, we did it. That's all they wrote. That's all the songs we need to play. To close out, here's 2 general thoughts about preparing all of these etudes that might come in handy as you practice. Number 1, you are your best teacher. Not the best teacher, your best teacher. No one knows you like you. No one's heard you play more than you, and no one knows how hard you've worked to get where you are other than you. So, I would encourage you to trust your musical instincts. Try things just because you like them. Experiment with different kinds of things because, I don't know, you think they're cool and they could take you to cool places. In that pursuit, though, recording yourself is essential. So make sure you have a good recording app on your phone. Leave it running while you play the etude, while you practice, and especially while you experiment. Tip number 2 is practice the audition. Remember that as you prepare, playing these etudes alone in your room might feel a bit different than playing them in a room in front of real live people at the audition. And sometimes playing in front of people can be pretty scary, but it doesn't really have to be. Because in the exact same way that we practice our music, we can practice bravery. Ask your parents, ask your siblings, ask friends, maybe friendly dogs or trees in the park. Anyone that you can find to have a listen to what you've been working on. Maybe they give comments, maybe they just smile. Maybe you mess up, maybe you don't. But the good news is it's really hard to offend Tree. And with a name like Leaf, I should know. The more you practice auditioning, the more you build confidence in auditioning, that confidence gives us a bit of freedom. And once we feel free on our instrument to make music, we start really playing our instruments. And that, my friends, is where the fun begins. Hey guys, thanks for watching.
And we hope you enjoyed all these videos for the All-State Band and All-State Jazz Trumpet Etudes.
If you like this content, we've got so much more over on our social media. Check out the ASU Trumpet Studio on Facebook and Instagram to keep up with all the brass madness happening on campus. If you're craving more trumpet in your life, for whatever reason, ASU Trumpet Day 2025 is happening. It's in the books. We hope to see you there. We're going to be talking about these etudes, going into more depth about trumpet, auditioning, all the things. Check out the description below for the event information. We hope to see you there.
And happy practicing.
Happy practice.